So this right here is the only video you need to watch if you want to learn how to make a vodka martini at home. My name is Robin Verpen. I'm a full-time medical doctor, and I've been home bartending for over 6 years now. During that time, I've learned how to make over 150 different cocktails, and I've thrown over 60 cocktail parties. And I teach other busy professionals like myself how to make cocktails at home. And in this video, we're going to be going over how to make the vodka martini. And I've already made a video earlier in this channel's history, probably like around this time last year, about how to make the gin martini or the martini in general. My preferred martini is the gin martini, so I just call that video like the martini video. But this one is specifically about the vodka martini. And you know, there are a lot of different recipes out there. I think really the main thing with the martini and the variations from one bar to one bar or one bartender to one bartender is the actual ratio that they use. And some people even use different ratios, whether they're making a gin martini or a vodka martini. I like to really keep it simple, especially since I'm a home bartender myself. I'm teaching other home bartenders. I like to keep this ratio the same, whether it's a gin martini or a vodka martini. And I also like to use the same exact ratio here as I do in the Manhattan. I think the Manhattan and the martini as very linked, very similar cocktails. And I really like to even enforce that more by keeping the template or the recipe pretty much the same ratio is what I mean. So both versions of the martini and the Manhattan itself, I like to use the recipe 212 or the acronym 212. That's really easy for me to remember because 212 is actually my birthday, February 12th. But a great mnemonic that you guys can use, a great way to memorize that as well, is that 212 is actually the basically like the telephone code, like the first three numbers of the phone number, the area code. That is the area code for New York and specifically for Manhattan. So that's why I like to link this with the Manhattan. So the telephone area code for Manhattan is 212. The ratio or really the mnemonic to help remember the ratio of ingredients in the Manhattan is a 212. And then I like to really apply that also to the martini, whether I'm making the gin martini or in this case, with this video, the vodka martini. So with that in mind, let's get right into making the cocktail. The cocktail is going to call for these three ingredients, and I've arranged them specifically as well in this order. So those ingredients are going to be vodka, dry vermouth, and orange bitters. So basically the same ingredients as a gin martini, except we're swapping literally the same ingredients as a gin martini, but now we're swapping gin for vodka. For the specific vodka, honestly, you can use any vodka. I really like to focus on bottles in that $20 to $35 price range. So Ciroc fits nicely in there. It's usually in the upper 20s in terms of price range. But a lot of other great options as well. Things like Tito's or Absolute are also great options. I have made this cocktail with those ingredients before as well. Then for dry vermouth, I'm going with Dolan. Dolan is really my favorite brand for sweet or dry vermouth. I think it's just so readily available, so easily accessible, and also super affordable while still providing high quality for both sweet and dry vermouth. And then finally for orange bitters, there's really three great brands out there. There's Fee Brothers, there's Angostura, and in the case of what I'm using now, I'm going to be using Regan's. So Regan's is a great option as well. I've personally used Angostura orange bitters before. I've never actually tried Fee Brothers, but I've used a lot of their other bitters. So you can't really go wrong with either of those three companies. And as I mentioned already, the mnemonic is also the recipe 212. So what that means is 2 ounces of vodka, 1 ounce of dry vermouth, and 2 dashes of orange bitters. This is going to be a stirred cocktail because it does not contain any dairy, egg, syrup, or juice. It just contains alcoholic ingredients, which are going to be, spirit, vermouth, and bitters. So it's going to be a stirred cocktail. We're going to be building it directly in the glass. Before I like to put the ice down, I like to get the bitters on the bottom of the glass. That's really the preferred technique that I like to do here. So as I mentioned already, this is going to call for 2 dashes of orange bitters. So that's 1, 2. Then I like to we'll go ahead and pour the other ingredients in the glass first. You can alternatively put the ice first and then the other ingredients on top, but this is the way I like to do it. So we got 2 ounces of vodka. And then finally 1 ounce of dry vermouth. So we have all our ingredients in the glass. The main thing that I was taught with how to make a martini, you want the martini to be as cold as possible. This is really true for any cocktail, but especially true for the martini. You want it to be as cold as possible. So we're gonna add some ice and stir this down to temperature. We have all the ingredients in the glass. Now we place our ice cube. I like to do one large ice cube like here. And then we take our stirring spoon or a bar spoon, and you, no specific rule, but really a general good rule of thumb is to stir somewhere between 20 and 30 seconds. You want to shake cocktails 10 to 15 seconds. You want to stir cocktails 20 to 30 seconds. That really is the ideal way to get it down to temperature. So we'll go ahead and do that. So that was about 20 to 30 seconds. We have our cocktail down to temperature. And there we have it, the vodka martini. Cheers. So just like its cousin, the gin martini, another great, refreshing, cool, chill, crisp cocktail, very clean. And this is a classic cocktail as well. I really recommend learning the martini within your first probably like 3 months of home bartending, whether that's the gin version or the vodka version, or even both versions. I think they're great options to have in your repertoire. Martini is one of the first cocktails I learned personally. I think it was probably like the second or third cocktail that I learned. I know the first one was a Negroni. I learned this one shortly after because, you know, I already had, these are all different ingredients, but I had gin already, but then I had to just go out and buy the orange bitters and then the dry vermouth. So for me personally, this was like the second or third cocktail that I ever learned how to make great cocktail. This is just a vodka version of that. So whether you're trying to learn the gin martini, vodka martini, both are great options to learn very early on in your bartending career. So go ahead and make this cocktail, really enjoy it, serve it this summer and year round and for many years to come. It's a classic cocktail. It stood the test of time. It's over 100 years old and it'll still continue to be enjoyed many, many decades down the road. Anyways, this is all the advice I have for this video. If you found the advice in this video helpful, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I like to do 2 styles of videos on this channel. The first one will be like this video where it's a tutorial showing you guys how to make a specific cocktail. And then the second style video will be talking head style. I go over tips and tricks, answer questions about home bartending, share stories from my own journey, things like that I hope will help you guys become better home bartenders. And finally, if you really want to take home bartending even more seriously, I actually have a paid community on school.com. That'll be the first link in the description below. Thank you. Cheers.